Hello, hello. Hello, friends. Hope I'm live. This has been a crazy couple of days with YouTube. I'm gonna be honest with you. YouTube's been giving me the blues the last day or so. So I see some people are here, so it worked out. I ended up creating a separate live because I want to share my screen and show some software to you guys that you can use. Hey Martisha, that you can use to do the same planning work that I did on the wall in my dining room. So some of you may have seen the video already where I showed you what I did with post-it notes. And so definitely didn't want to take you in my living room, like physically work through doing that. But there is some software that you can use to do the same exact thing. Hi, Zakia, to do the same exact thing. And so I want to share that software with you. And we're going to go through a planning session today. And we're going to do that same exercise together. I'm going to do it with your stuff. I'll show you some of my stuff, but we're going to do it with your stuff. Okay. So first thing is Happy New Year. What's up, y'all? I'm so glad you liked the video. I actually really liked it too. I watched it again and was like, yeah, this is actually really good stuff. It's a good exercise. So for me, I'm a project manager by habit, by trade and by habit. And I really love planning and brainstorming and organizing thoughts and goals and stuff like that. Always been very, very much accomplishment driven. And so being able to set goals and then go accomplish those is a huge driver for me. And I know that's something that comes naturally to me. And so happy to share like how we do that stuff, how I do that stuff with you all. So I'm really excited to do this because I shared the video, but I know people had some questions about some of that process. Some people had some questions about what's the next step? What's the next move? What do I do after this? And so I wanted to do this in a more interactive way so that I can answer those questions. And so we're going to get started in just a minute. From Australia, hi, you're in the Quick Commuting Academy. Your avatar looks very familiar. But hello from down under. I'm sure you're tired of people saying that. Anyway, okay, so Happy New Year. And before we get into the meat of this, before we get into the mechanics of this, I want to start out by asking you guys a question. So number one, do you feel like you have hit the ground running in 2023? Do you feel like you're already crushing it? Yes or no? Drop it in the comments. Yes, you're already crushing it. No, you're not yet. You're like hitting the ground, walking, crawling, light jog, hit the ground and ain't got up yet. Like, what's the move for you? I'll tell you, for me, this is actually, I think, the third year in a row that I have not felt like I hit the ground running. I feel like I hit the ground crawling or walking. This year I hit the ground crawling because I was sick the first day of the year, like ridiculously sick. Had a really, really bad sinus headache, somewhat feeling motivated. I'm starting to think, just this morning as I was prepping for this conversation, for this live with you guys, just this morning, I was starting to think that maybe January is not the month to hit pace, like to speed, to go fast. Maybe January is the month to do what we're doing today. You know, dream big, brainstorm, think, plan, and move into the year. I know a lot of people plan their year before the year starts so that they can hit the ground running. And if that works for them, that's great. But also, you know, sometimes some people need to move in slow, right? December is crazy. November and December are crazy months. They're full of holidays. They're full of things you have to do, things you have to loose ends you have to tie up for work. And by the time December ends, a lot of us are exhausted. A lot of us are freaking exhausted, and there's no gas in the tank to speed up in January, start crushing goals out of the gate, right? I think some of us, one of the only goal that I have crushed so far this year is working out every day. That's it. That's the only thing I've been able to do to be like, yeah, I'm already on it. Everything else is like, I think I said this on Instagram. The most productive thing I had done this year on Wednesday was like, by Wednesday was like, get my nails done. That was it. And I felt good about that. So I'm starting to think, am I the only one that feels this way? That maybe January is not the month to do that, right? Maybe January is the month, and this is 3 years consistently. So this is the third year that I've consistently felt like January 1 hits, and I'm like, yeah, holla at me in February or March. And so maybe we rethink January. Maybe we just start rethinking January as the month that we use to reflect, to dream big, brainstorm, and plan. And then we get to work in February or get to work in March. Go at your own pace is how I feel about it. But I said that because for those of us who are watching people already crushing it, already posting all their content, already launching new blogs, already, doing all the things and feeling like, well, what's wrong with me? This is for me too. This message is for myself as well. I just want to remind us that there literally is no requirement that we have to hit the ground running January 1st. There is no like the timeline, the deadlines are fake. The deadlines are not real. There is no timeline. The timeline is yours to decide. And so if you're feeling any kind of way that you're here today and you're like, I just, I was going to hit the ground running. I was going to crush it first week of the year and I haven't, and I feel some type of way. And I'm hoping that this conversation completely changes that. I don't want to change that for you. I want you to accept it. I want you to realize that you've given yourself what you needed. If you weren't ready to run, you didn't need to run. You know what I'm saying? So I want us to give ourselves some grace. This message is for me as much as it is for you. Because now I'm noticing a pattern. So I think that, January is probably just going to be the month that I start to go slower and maybe pick one thing to focus on doing consistently. And I'm proud that, my one thing was working out, and I feel amazing having done it. So, okay, now that preaching moment's out of the way, let's talk about what we're going to go through today. So the planning process, if you watch the video, you'll notice that it's a start big and go small. And as a project manager, that's generally what happens, right? As a project manager, when we go into projects, it's like, hey, we want to build a new software, or we want to build an actual building. And so we start with that big thing, and then we start to go small. So from this 2023 is big. That's 365 days, right? And so how we start this is we start with brainstorming. And the good thing about starting with brainstorming is that you get to go wild. This is the part that's supposed to be enjoyable. That's the part that's supposed to be, let me tap into my inner child and think about all the things I would just love to do, right? The things that you daydream about doing, the things that you when you're watching TV and you see somebody doing that, you're like, I would love to do that. That's something I would love to do. Or when you're having conversations with your girlfriends and talking about who you want to be and who you desire to be in this life, like that's the stuff that you do in your brainstorming, right? And then you start to edit. You start to edit that a little bit, right? You start to think about, so what's actually feasible with just 12 months in a year? Because, you can't do everything. And then once you edit and you've got it down to, here's what I'm actually planning to approach the year with, you start planning. So it's brainstorming, editing, and then planning. And that's the process we'll talk through today. But as we go through this, what I want you guys to do for this year is make sure you are, I will link the video that I'm referencing. It's going to be in the description as well. And it'll probably play after this live, now that I think about it, because I think it's my most recent video. But it basically is how to plan your year is the name of the video. So if somebody wouldn't mind, no, I'll do it. I just didn't want to leave. I didn't want to stop doing what I was doing to get to that, because I think it's going to start playing. Hold on a second. Your videos. Give me a moment. How to plan your year. Get a shareable link. Oh, that wasn't that hard. Let's see. Here you go. Here you are, friend. It'll be in the description as well, of course, when I post this replay. All right. So one of the things that I want you to take into consideration as you're building out your plan and your brainstorming and then editing and then building out your plan is not to put too much pressure on yourself. Right? I don't want you to limit yourself, but once you start turning this into a plan and you start editing, don't put too much pressure on yourself. And then let's give ourselves grace, right, as we go through the year. Um, and then we're going to talk about how we focus on what we can control. Because I feel like a lot of the goals that people set are not things that they can control. So we'll talk about that too. And as a reminder, you can always change. What you put on your plan is not set in stone. No one's coming to your house to, make sure that you, unless this is unless your goal is to make sure you pay your taxes this year. But, this is for you to hold yourself accountable, right? And if you need to change your mind or shift gears, you can. The other thing I'm going to encourage us is not to be afraid to fail. Because failure is not, it's not an indication of your character or who you are. Failure is just information. It is really just information. It's, oh, that didn't work is what failure is. Oh, that didn't work. Let me learn from that and try something else. All right. When people say, I'm afraid to fail, what I hear is I'm afraid to learn. So every time you find yourself putting the word fail in there, I want you to change that word out for learn. Okay. Because if you say I'm afraid to fail, and you change that to I'm afraid to learn, is that true? Are you afraid to learn? I don't think you are. Right? And so let's switch out the word fail for learn as we go into this, okay? And then the rest of it is once you build your plan out, you have to monitor it and tweak it, okay? All right, so we're gonna get started. First thing I want to mention is that typically when I think about goals and things I want to accomplish and brainstorm those things, I think through them in 6 categories, okay? So I'm going to throw out those categories. And what I want to do is I want 2 goals from each of you all. Well, not each of you. I want us to fill up 2 goals from each of those categories from you guys. Okay. So here's the categories. Pen and paper. I hope you guys are getting ready to take notes. The categories are, and you'll see a consistent theme. Like if I share my weekly planning, my weekly goals, and how I grade myself on a day-to-day basis, these are the same categories that I use. Okay. So category 1 is health. All right. So you're in my mind, when I'm brainstorming goals and things, they fall into one of these 6 categories. The first is health. The second is finances. The third is career or business, one or the other. If you work for a company, it's career. If you own your own business, it's business. If you do both, it's career/business, which is what I do. Number 4 is education. And you can think of this as development, right? It doesn't have to be education like I'm in college. It can also be professional development, personal development. Okay. So I just call it development. Number 5 is relationships. And that is not just your romantic relationships. That is your family relationships. That's your relationships with your friends, that kind of stuff. Okay. And then number 6 is lifestyle. Tell me got it if you got those 6 categories. Comment got it. Drop got it in the comment if you got those 6 categories. And I can type them out for you as well. Health. I got these from, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Happy Black Woman, but I did her 30-day reset. Was it 30-day reset? Years ago. God, this was like back in 2008. And she all of her stuff was in these 6 categories. So this was in 2008, and I've continued to utilize these categories ever since then because I really like this format. So I'm going to type these. You know what? Tracy, spirituality, she does have that one. Religion and spirituality. She has 7 now that I think about it. You're right. So if you want to add a 7th for spirituality, you can absolutely do that. For religion or spirituality, you can absolutely do that. And again, this is what I do. Feel free to tweak it for what you want to do as well, right? So nothing I say is gospel. Nothing I say is set in stone. Just like I said, there's no requirement for you to get started on the first day of the year. There's no requirement for you to do anything that I'm saying to do either. This is just what I do for me, and I am sharing that out. So feel free to tweak it. And what I'd say is when you have stuff like that, like Tracy just had something that she does differently, feel free to share. Like, let's make this, a mind meld. Let's all share, our ideas and thoughts on how we do things, because we can all learn from one another. All right. So now that we have that, here's what we'll do. So if you recall from the video, let me share my screen. Give me just a second. Screen 1. Window. There we go. All right. So if you recall from the video, I actually showed that I put some things in yellow, some things in blue, some things in green, and some things in pink. And so we're going to come up with some of the goals that you guys have. Let me stop sharing for just a second and start to build out what you saw me do with those Post-its. All right. So we're going to start with a brainstorm with these 6 or 7 categories and start coming up with what our goals are. And I'm going to put those on, put those in, virtual Post-its. And I want to let you know that the tool that I'm using to do this is called Miro board. Let me give you the link to that. Just Miro.com. And it's free to use it. I think you can create 3 boards. And the cool thing is you can collaborate with other people. So like if you and your coach want to work together, or you and your significant other want to work together, or if you want to do this for your teenager or your child or whatever, you can do this. All right, so let's get started. First thing is, let me get some goals. Who's got health goals out there? Tell me what your health goals are. Drop some health goals. My health goal this year is to get back in shape. I miss the old Liv. I miss the slim and muscular Liv, man. I got like 40 pounds to drop. So yeah, drop in the comments. I need 2 health goals. Okay, RJ. Let me tell y'all something. I love y'all. I love y'all already because y'all did something that I didn't expect you to do, and I'm gonna tell you what it was. Okay, somebody wants to lose 150 pounds. Someone mentioned 30 minutes of cardio 3 times a week. All right, I got walking, sauna. So walking, going to the sauna, building muscle. So sounds like your goal is to establish some regular workout routines. And these are the things that you're going to do that. Okay, more consistency. Lose 30 pounds. All right. Let's block this person. All right. Lose 100 pounds. Start practicing yoga. I love it. Okay. Got it. Thank you guys. And then let me get some for, let's do 3 categories. Let's do career. Give me your career goals. Maybe let's do, because I want to hit lifestyle. I want to hit health, finance, career, lifestyle. Let me get some health. What did I say? Did I say career? Or did I say finance? Career. Let me get some career goals. What are your career goals? Ooh, automate your classroom. That's a great goal. That is a great goal. I love that. Who else? I will tell you one of mine. One of my career goals is to, what is it? I don't remember it off the top of my head. Oh, one of my career goals is to grow the quit commuting to start doing working with companies to offer recruiting. Start my own business. Okay. Land a remote job. Hey. Okay. All right. Hit me. These are some good stuff. These are good stuff. Learn Excel. I love that. Why do you want to learn Excel? I would love to know why. But I will tell you, like, you can do that super easy on YouTube and stuff, but we'll get into it. All right. So hit me with some lifestyle goals. Hit me with some lifestyle goals. I'm not gonna do finance because people always, we'll come back to finance. Hit me with some lifestyle goals. Learn more about content creation and advertising for our insurance agency in an effort to grow a particular line of business. Oh, wow. That, I love how specific that is. Sassy, I was more wondering where are you using Excel? That's what I was asking. Yeah, I assumed you wanted to get better at it because you said you wanted to get better at it. But the question is, like, for what? To do what? To accomplish what? Do you use it in your current job? Are you trying to add it to your toolkit to get other jobs? Like, what's the reason? That's what I was asking. Okay, lifestyle: declutter and organize house. Like it. Less stress. Okay. Oh, I thank you for asking that. Example of lifestyle goals. So lifestyle goals are things that impact your life on a day-to-day basis, things that are things that you want, that you're interested in, that have nothing to do with finances or necessarily health or career or anything like that. So here's some examples of some of my lifestyle goals. Read a certain number of books. Learn to shoot pool. I really, really want to learn to shoot pool so badly. I'm not going to make money from that. Like, that's not going to be a job. That's just something I personally want to do. Travel is another great example of a lifestyle goal. This year I also said I was going to take a floral arrangement class. So, like, getting new hobbies or trying new things, or saying I'm going to take some classes, or I'm going to learn to be an at-home bartender, a home chef, or all kinds of stuff like that. So anything that is going to impact your lifestyle. Reading books, traveling, hanging out with friends. One of my goals is to spend more time with my friend. Well, I guess that's relationships. That actually fits into the relationships bucket. Someone said reading the Bible in a year. Travel to Africa. No problem. Thanks for asking the question. Learn to eat with chopsticks. Oh, I love that. I love that. Travel to Africa. Let's put that on the list too. Oh, what happened to my page? Okay, there we go. Travel to Africa. Take a 14-week IT security certification course. Okay, that goes to career. That one's a career one. Travel to Greece, move abroad. That's a good one. These are also good. Be more outgoing and sociable. I'm naturally an introvert. There's nothing wrong with that, though. Barbara. I just want to mention this. My daughter mentioned that. She said that she wanted to be more outgoing and social. And I was like, why? And she was like, because I'm an introvert. And I was like, I do want you to know there's nothing wrong with wanting to improve in an area or step outside of your comfort zone. There's also nothing wrong with that. There's also nothing wrong with the way you are either. So I told her, I was like, there's nothing wrong with being discerning about who you give your energy to. Right. So I think, and I'm only saying this because I feel like in our society, we put a lot of value on people that are charismatic and outgoing and social and talk and all that stuff. But that doesn't mean one is better than the other. So just to throw that out there, that, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be more outgoing. There's also nothing wrong with being a natural introvert either. I just want to say that on behalf of my daughter. All right, so we have some goals. I love that you guys shared this. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over here and turn some of these into stuff on our board. All right, you're welcome for that. All right, so let's go to the board. Let's go to the board. I'm ready to do some fun stuff over here. So I need to figure out how I can still see, share my screen, window. All right. Hopefully, let me pull this out. All right. It's been a while since I've shared a screen on Miraboard. Okay, so this is mine. Don't look at that. It's a hot mess. All right, so I'm going to pull some of the things that you guys mentioned. Let me pull this over so I can see your comments as well. Let me organize my... There we go. All right, so let's start with some of the things that you guys mentioned around health. So someone said lose pounds. I heard 30 pounds, I heard 10 pounds, I heard 5 pounds, I heard 150 pounds. That's something that I want to do as well. I want to lose 40 pounds. I did mention that. So one of the things that I want to say is I see that as a desired outcome and not a goal. In my mind, a goal is something you control, right? And it's really, really tough to stay motivated and focused around something that you cannot control. Lose pounds is a desired outcome. It's something that you want as a result of managing your goals. Does that make sense? So when I think about how to focus this, I think about focusing most of your energy on what you can control, because that is the outcome that you hope to have, but your goal should be what you can affect, what you can do yourself. So someone's goal was to walk every day, or to start doing cardio, or to cardio 3 times a week. So that is a goal, right? My goal is to do cardio 3 times a week because I control that. But what we're going to do is we're going to take this desired outcome. Oops. We're going to take a yellow card, because that's what I did again in the video that I did before. I'd put all my desired outcomes on yellow, because that's when we think about goals and we start dreaming big, that's what we do. We come up with things that are like, oh, I want to make $100,000 in sales. I actually don't control that, but it is a desired outcome. So I'm gonna write that thing on down. So let's write down lose X pounds. All right. So that is a desired outcome. And then what you can do, let's write all these desired outcomes out, actually. So I had a couple. Land a remote job. Can you control that? No. Right? So let's write down land a remote job. Again, another desired outcome. And then y'all actually did really great. A lot of these are goals that you control. So let's throw these out here. Land a remote job. And then some of these were actual goals as well. So I'm gonna put these up here. Let me move this around. So what I like and don't like about Miraboard is that it is basically a never-ending canvas. Like, you can scroll all around this thing and get lost. But it's also beneficial because you can brainstorm so much on here. All right, so we have a goal, and this one is to move abroad. All right, so we got a couple of desired outcomes, and then we have a goal, right? So I see this as a goal. I see these as desired outcomes. So the question that I have for you is, how do we break these down to goals, right? Give me some examples of how we can change lose X number of pounds into goals. What can you control to do that? So for me, and I'll go because I think there's a little bit of a delay from me to you. So I will start. Um, I will start. One thing that we can do is get a trainer. Yep. I'll say, oops, work out consistently. I think somebody actually said work out consistently. I like to be specific. Work out 3 days a week. Get a coach. I like it. Eat healthier. I like that. I'm gonna use that. Okay, excellent. So if your goal, if you have had up to this point, if you have had a goal listed for 2023 to lose a certain number of pounds, my recommendation is that you adjust that. Like wanting to lose a certain number of pounds is definitely admirable and it makes sense. But what I'd like for you to do is write down what you're going to do that. What is the goal that you have that you can control? A goal is something that you can control, and a desired outcome is something you cannot control. That is the difference that I'm making. So again, I'm not the gospel on this, but this is how I look at it. When you say something like, I want to lose 50 pounds, and let me give you an example of why I came up with this. Because I had this goal to lose a certain number of pounds by a certain date last year. And that was the goal, right? And I was doing all of the things that I needed to do. I was working out, I was eating well, but I didn't lose that number of pounds by that date. And I got completely discouraged and stopped doing the things, right? And so I was so focused on the outcome, which I do not control, instead of being proud of myself and focusing on the actual things that I could control, which is the working out, right? So the ability to lose a certain number of pounds by a certain date is not something that I can wave a magic wand. Even if I work out for 5 days a week, and even if I eat well, and even if I drink water, it doesn't mean that I'll lose this number of pounds in this number of days. But it does mean that I'm being healthier. It does mean that I'm taking care of myself, right? And so for me, it felt more rewarding to focus on the goal that I control, right? And I hope that there's an outcome. This is what I hope is an outcome. But if it's not, I can still give myself credit for reaching my goal. And my goal was to work out 5 days a week, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense to everybody? And so that's why I say, like, there's nothing wrong with having some desired outcomes. I think it's tough to be attached to them. Like, let's say I want to make $100,000 in sales next year, right? There's nothing I can do to control that. There are things that I can do to try to reach that. And at the end of it, I want to be proud of myself for reaching the goal of saying, in order to reach $100,000, my goal is to make sure that I am, posting about my course at least, 20 days out of the month, right? My goal is to set up my marketing. My goal is to review and adjust my marketing every month. And so at the end of the day, if I come short of that desired outcome, but I've done everything I said I would do, I want to be proud of reaching that goal, of doing what I said I would do that I could control. So that's why I like to look at it that way, because it's easy to get discouraged when you don't reach an outcome that you don't control. So focus on the goal, check the box. I reached this goal, right? That's all I'm saying. All right. So we've got lose X number of pounds, and our goal is to eat healthier, eat healthy. Let's make this specific. Let's say eat healthy 80% of the time. Eat healthy 80% of the time. Eat healthy, 4 out of 5 days a week. Eat. Let's make. I'm going to make this even more specific. Let's say drink 80 ounces of water each week. That's not right. I think it should be each day. Oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's say do 75 hard. Let's say that. And does anybody do keto? I can say change diet. Yeah, we can say eat healthy. I'm going to change this back. I'm going to change this back because then we can create a project. Okay. Heading over to land remote jobs. So let's talk about what are some of the things that you can do that you control on the landing the remote job. I'm going to avoid writing down sign up for Librea's course. I'm just not going to even do that. But what are some of the things that you can do that you control to help you land a remote job? Give me some examples. I mean, number one, let's say get resume and LinkedIn updated. Yeah. Consistently apply for jobs. Excellent. Great job. You guys are doing great. So again, this is a desired outcome. You do not control this, but you control yourself doing this. So if you do this, you can check the box and say, hey, I reached this goal. I did exactly what I was supposed to do. And then the move abroad, that is something you do control. So I put this one in green. This is a goal that you do control. So what we can do under the green is we can actually do projects and actions that you need to take to reach that goal. So once you have a goal, some of these goals are projects, right? So working out minimum 3 days a week, that's already kind of a project or action. Unless you want to make the action join a gym or sign up for a membership under there. But move abroad. So research countries. Yep. Research countries. Research countries and select. Save money. Yep. Something else you probably need to do is find somewhere to live, find lodging, job stuff. I love it. Yes, there's some stuff you need to do with your job, either your job or get a job for sure. Find lodging in the country. You gotta listen, there's a lot to do. I had a whole project plan just for me to go abroad for a year. Like it was so much to do. It was stuff with the house, it was stuff with healthcare, it was a lot. But all right, so I'm gonna just leave it at that. All right. So now we have a goal here. Oops. With some projects and actions under it. Stop it. Stop being mean to me. I want you to go here. Here. Okay. Sorry, guys. I'm very particular about my arrows. And you guys, again, don't have to do all this. I am extra. I did mention that I am team doing the most. Let's do, you know what, LA, thanks for saying that. Let's do, let me put that, obtain visas. And sometimes you won't be able to, I'd say research visa requirements. Because you can't always obtain the visa before you go. Sometimes, some countries, a lot of people that move abroad, they'll go and they'll stay abroad for a certain, like they'll go and stay abroad for the tourist visa. So a lot of countries, especially if you're a US citizen, will give you 60 to 90 days to be in a country. And then after that, you can apply for different visas. So a lot of people do that. So I'm going to start with research visa requirements. I love it. I love the way you're thinking. All right. So this is the exercise to do that, right? I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. Let me move some things around here. This is fun doing this with y'all. I kind of wish that I had just had a party and invited y'all to my house and we could have done this all together, like physically, right? Okay. So let's go back to the get a remote job. And I'm going to add a project here to hire a resume writer. Resume LinkedIn expert. I'm going to just do that. And then here, I'm going to say, first find a laptop, smartphone, or desktop computer, or you won't be remoting nothing. Well, fair. A lot of companies have, there are companies that will provide you with that stuff. Consistently apply for jobs. I wanted to put something there, but I forgot what I was going to put. So let's move on. And then here, I'm going to put hire a trainer. And then do start keto. I don't know. Oops. All right. So we got some stuff. So we've got some desired outcomes, some goals, and some actions. Get clarity on what jobs you're targeting. Thank you. So fun fact, that is actually my resident job strategist. And target, I'm going to say target jobs and companies. Something that you want to do. All right. So now we have some desired outcomes, some goals, and some actual projects. So what I'd love for you guys to do when you're thinking through your plan is, if you've written down a goal, first ask yourself, is this something I can control? If it's not something you can control, I'm going to suggest that you consider that a desired outcome and come up with a goal that you do control that will help you meet that desired outcome, right? And then once you have those goals, start thinking about what projects or actions do I need to take to reach this goal, right? And so that's what we've done in the pink. The yellow is the desired outcomes. The green is the goal, and the pink is the desired outcomes. And go crazy with this. Like, you don't have to limit yourself. You don't have to say, oh, I can't do this year. This is the part where you just get to play around. You just get to have a good time. You just get to write down anything that your heart desires. Let me show you mine. There's just no way I'm doing all this stuff this year. Look at this. And I'm not even done. There's just no way I'm doing all this. And we can go over one of them, but this is, some of mine. And some of them I haven't even done all of the stuff for. Look, get a boyfriend. I don't control that. So the person that asked about this one, about the, desired outcomes versus goals, what you can control versus get a boyfriend. I do not control that at all. But I can be honest about the fact that I go on these apps, I swipe, I match with people, I say one thing to them, and then I don't talk to them again for like weeks. I might come back. Somebody will be like, happy Tuesday. And I come back a Thursday, a month later, like, oh, hey, that I can control. So that's a good example. But again, this is where you get to go crazy. I mean, if you look at this, I have, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not even going to count all these desired outcomes. One of the things that I do want to show you guys an example of is where I have taken a desired outcome and broken it down into a smaller desired outcome because it was pretty big. So here's an example. I can go through a whole example too. So one desired outcome was to make, and this is again, dreaming big. Why you put my business in the streets, Martisha? Yes, I do have a lot of unread messages. It's nobody's business. Yes, I am pretty terrible about responding to people, especially to guys on Bumble. Anyway, okay, so one of the desired outcomes is to make over 350,000 in revenues, right? So that is a big desired outcome. That is way more than I've ever made for my company. So I'm dreaming big here, okay? Um, and I took that and broke that down into smaller desired outcomes. So that's what the blue is. And I did that because my business sells multiple products. So if I want to make 350 in revenue, like what does that mean? So the three smaller desired outcomes is 250 in course sales, 65 in community sales, and then 30 in events. Right? So I broke those down. Again, that's something I don't control, right? But I went and said, well, what do I control? What can I control to get there, to hopefully get there? And so a couple of things is with the community, add some programming, add more programming, and expand our offerings. Okay, yeah, I can add programming. I can expand offerings, but what are the projects and actions that I need to take to do that? I want to build out a programming team. Oops. Let me change this. Build a programming team so that people can just focus on programming. Set up a process so that other people can submit events, right? Oh, cool. And then I also want to create a recruiting package because I want companies to come looking for the people in my community, right? So I want to create a recruiting package to offer to them. And I also want to hire some career coaches. So expanding the offerings that way. And then on the course sales, in order to hit the course sales desired outcome, things that I control, complete the course refresh. So I refreshed my course in August and I still haven't launched it. So complete the course refresh, finish that, and then build out the marketing plan. Under that, I need to create ad assets because if we're going to do ads, I need to create the ad assets. I need to hire an ad manager and I need to create an affiliate marketing program. Under completing the course refresh, I need to finish editing a video, the videos. I have like 5 videos left to edit. I need to finish that. I'm in the process of updating the website and then I need to update the sales funnel. So again, this is when you get to just put stuff out there. Like this is a lot, right? So I don't think that this is the time to say, oh, let me limit myself, blah, 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 blah. I say give yourself a good week, maybe even 2 weeks to just put stuff up. And if you want to do this physically, this is what I originally did. The only reason I'm doing it virtually here now is so I can share it with you all. But I physically did this also just so I can play around with it because I want to try to transition into doing this digitally. But give yourself, I think I gave myself a couple of weeks to just add stuff to the board, like add goals, add desired outcomes, add projects, and add actions. And then after you do that, after you feel like I figured this out, you can start to say, well, let me organize this by month. So I built out like a little template for the first half of the year. And then I put those 6 sections in here. And I started to put these things into timeframes because what's important to me is I want to see, when do I think I could do this? Because I'm going to tell y'all, one of the things we all do is, well, I know I do, a lot of us do, is play ourselves when it comes to what we can actually accomplish. You get up in the morning and you write your to-do list, and that to-do list is foolish. There's just no way you can accomplish all of those things in a day. And the same thing happens for me, at least when I'm starting to think about my goals for the year or the quarter. I can get really excited about accomplishing things and overwhelm myself, right? What happens when you do that? Let me stop sharing for just a second. No, I'm not going to stop sharing. It's too much work to get back to sharing. No, I'll stop. What happens when you do that is when you start to pile on too many things, there can be a domino effect. If you don't accomplish all of those things you've put on your plate, you start to feel like you can't accomplish anything. Right. And so ideally you don't overwhelm yourself. So what I'd say is when you get to the point where you feel comfortable that you've got your goals and your projects and actions built out, lay that out from a calendar perspective. Literally just lay it out and see, when am I doing this in January, March, May, September? December. And also give yourself time to consider that too, right? Because you can move things around. And then I took that a step further and just said, hey, what of this am I delegating? So that I know that while March may look like I have a lot of things going on, half of those things aren't things I'm doing. I'm giving it to somebody else to do. So someone mentioned organizing their house, which I thought was a really great goal. If you find yourself putting that in a time frame where it gets overwhelmed, that's something that you can delegate to somebody. You can either move it, you can take it off, or you can delegate it to someone else. But what I'd say is kind of lay this out from a standpoint of like, when am I actually doing these things? When am I taking these actions? And then you can start to edit. Then we go to the edit process and you say, I can't do all that. There's just no way I can do all of that. There's just no way I can do all of those things. And then from there, you start to put that into an actual plan. So I like to use Asana because, again, I am a project manager. But, things like I'm going to work out weekly. I'm going to work out 3 times a week. Put that on your calendar. Go ahead and plan it out, right? The stuff like when we go to, let me go back to sharing again. Share screen. When you go to this one right here, the move abroad, honey, these are projects. These need timelines, right? So when are you going to have your countries researched by? When are you going to research and select a country by? Like, is that going to be a Q1 activity? By the end of Q1, I will know where I want to move to. When are you going to have your money saved by? When are you going to have that done? So if you want to move in September, when do you have to have your money saved up? Or when do you have to have money secured that you're going to continue to sustain yourself while you're there, right? When are you going to find the lodging? So if I'm moving in September, when are you going to go and find somewhere to live in that other country? Because you need to do that at least before September, right? And when are you going to have your visa stuff nailed down? So start to plan that out, right? Don't just start at the goal. I want to move abroad. Cool. When are you going to do all the things that get you to moving abroad, right? And so you want to kind of turn that into a plan. And one of the things that I like to do, you guys still with me? Y'all got real quiet. Y'all got real quiet. So keep in mind, we've done this. This is the brainstorming portion. And now I'm talking about turning that into a time-boxed plan. Because here's the thing about goals, and you might have heard this before, but goals should be specific. So that's why we made a lot of these specific. I want to work out 3 times a week. Yes, I have. I love ChatGPT. I want to work out 3 times a week. That is specific. They should be specific. They should be measurable. I should be able to measure this. I should be able to look at this and say, did I do it or not? How close am I to doing it? Right? I need to either be able to work out 3 times a week. Well, did I do 2 or did I do 1? Right? That's why I said, when we said eat healthy, that's why I said, eat healthy 4 out of 5 days or 80% of the week, because then I can measure that. So your measurement is either I did it or I didn't, or what's my percent complete on it. All right. So specific, measurable, achievable. So this is again why I say things like, I don't remember what my thought was because I was reading the comment. But your goal should be achievable. So the A is achievable. Gosh, I just forgot what the R is. Just that fast. Smart. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic. It should be realistic, right? So, unless you are Elon Musk, it shouldn't necessarily be I want to go to the moon, right? I want to take a trip to Mars. It should be realistic. And then the T is time boxed, which is why after we do this brainstorm, I want you to put this in a timeline. I want you to put it in a timeline before you edit it, because I want you to see how you have what you are trying to sign yourself up for, and how you can move things around. One of the things that I found when I was time boxing my stuff is I was trying to do almost everything in like the first quarter. And I was like, girl, ain't no way. It just ain't no way you finna do all this in the first quarter. And I also so I started spreading it out and found that I was still trying to do everything in the first half. Well, some of this stuff is going to have to go into the second half of the year. There is only one Libria and there are only 12 months in a year. right? And so the math ain't mathing. So again, goals should be specific, measurable, achievable. Yeah, I'm doing it right now. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and most importantly, time boxed. Okay. So now we put this into a timeline. Once you take that into a timeline and you start to edit things and say, well, this is going to have to go in my backlog. I'm going to show you guys something. You may or may not be able to do everything that you have on your list for the year. I like to keep a backlog of things that just pop in my head that I would like to do that I might not get to, right? So here's a list of, y'all getting all my business. So this is a list of things that I come up with for my business that it's like, I would love to do this, but I put it in the backlog. These are all things that came up to me in 2022, right? And so what happens is some of the things that you're going to edit off of your list, because everything in here, everything that you do in this brainstorm is not going to make the cut for 2023 for your initial pass it planning. It's just not going to make the cut because you just don't have the time. Like there's no way I'm doing all these pink. You see all these pink things? And I still got more to create. I ain't doing all that. Ain't no way. It ain't no way. And so once you pull things off, you can put them in the backlog. And the good thing about the backlog is whenever you come and do your quarterly review or your mid-year review, you can say, well, I've changed my mind about some of the things that I thought I wanted to do this year. Or, I started down this path, it's not working out, I'm taking this off my plan. And you can pull something out of the backlog if you want to. Also, that really kind of sets you up for next year as well. So when you start thinking about next year, like a lot of the stuff that's on my plan this year came from this backlog, literally came from this backlog, things that I just didn't get around to last year, but I kept a tally of those things. So again, when you're going through and building out, your timeline and starting to be honest about what you can actually accomplish and taking things out, you can put it in your backlog, either put it later in the year or put it in your backlog. Does that make sense to everybody? Am I making sense? So we're at an hour, but real fast before we get into anything else, I want to talk about vision boarding really fast. I love vision boards. I love to do vision boards. I do not do vision boards for the year. I'm mad at the people that do. For me, they get real stale real fast. For me, like it just doesn't mean anything to me after like a month or so, after like two months or so. And so I started maybe 2 years ago doing quarterly vision boards. So I'm going to share that with you. So I go in Canva, which is free. Canva is free. And I just create a quarterly vision board that covers some of the goals that I have for the first quarter, right? And you will see some of these are definitely desired outcomes. Some of these are definitely desired outcomes, but it is a vision board. So you can do that if you want to. You can put your desired outcomes on here. So some of these are very specific goals. Some of these are goals and some of these are desired outcomes, right? So I just go on here and start creating a quarterly vision board that speaks to the things that I want to accomplish in the first 3 months. And then at the end of the quarter, I can look at this vision board and say, hey, did I do this? Did I hit this? Yes or no? And then I can create my next quarter vision board. So this is something that I will actually do at the beginning of the quarter. I literally print it out, put it up. Sometimes I make it my screensaver so I can see it all the time. You can actually put it on your phone. You can do all kinds of things with it that way. And at the end of the quarter, I can sit down and assess where I am with that vision board. Okay. So if you like vision boards, I'd say consider doing a quarterly vision board. There's nothing wrong with an annual vision board. Again, none of what I'm saying is to indicate that there's something wrong with another way. I'm just sharing the way that I like to do things. And so whatever, Martisha, you just came here to give me a hard time. Martisha said, read those messages from all those guys in your DMs in Q1 2023. I mean, I have to do that to go on these 9 dates. That's a lot of dates. So I said 9 dates in Q1. That's what I said. You said that's so much better than overwhelming yourself with 10 years of goals. Yeah, I totally feel you, because I feel like I get that way too. Um, I'm very big picture oriented, and so a lot of times I can overwhelm myself with all of the things that I would like to do and accomplish, and sometimes I need to like bring it down and direct. And even this, I might need to edit just a little bit. So I'm gonna finish this over the next week, and I might need to edit it. But some of this, but what I'm trying to do here, and what you might see here is another theme that we talked about at the beginning, right? What you'll notice is that a lot of these things meet the six areas that we talked about, right? So you've got relationships right here. You've got finances right here, right? This whole section is career and business. I am clearly very career and business oriented. You've got health. And then I'm going to put some lifestyle on here, and there'll be one more relationship thing. Like I want to visit at least one of my family members. Actually, no, Q1. Yeah, I want to visit one of my family members in the first quarter of the year. So that'll be another relationship thing. But if you notice this, all of these are related to the six categories that I shared earlier. And that is a recurring theme throughout everything that I do. So when I think about what I'm going to accomplish for the month, I usually write one or two things down in each of those categories. When I think about what I'm going to accomplish for the week, I write one or two things, two to three things that I'm going to accomplish in each of those categories. So those categories are clearly what drive my goals from a year, quarter, month, week, day breakdown. Yep. Yeah, I like that. I'm glad you guys like the quarterly plan. All right, let me pause for questions. I'm going to stop sharing. This was fun. God, I really wish that this could have been a live in-person situation. We could have like all just been running around with Post-it notes, putting stuff up. Maybe I need to do a retreat next year. This, I kind of want to make this a retreat next year. Like, let's kick it for like a few days and just brainstorm and like do this in person. Ooh, let me put this on my backlog. It can't go on the goal list, y'all. What am I doing? Anyway, look at me already adding stuff to my plate. I just said I need to take stuff off. What is wrong with me? I'm going to put it on the backlog. We'll see. All right. So what questions do you all have? Do you all have any questions for me? Because we've been together for an hour now. And I went through all these. Why wait until next year? Hey, Noel, I didn't know you were here. Why wait until next year? Hey, you know what? I mean, we could get together soon. All right. So a couple of things I want to remind you of while we're going through this. One, this process starts out with you giving yourself the space to think freely. Okay. Give yourself the space to think freely, dream. Like, one of the things I wrote down on my list is to write a book, is to publish a book, be a published author. And this is me like dreaming big. Like, this was a goal of mine. I remember freshman year in college, we had to write this book and we had to write 100 things about ourselves. And one of the things I wrote about myself was that I was a published author. I wrote a book. And that was when I was 19. That was a long time ago. And so I pulled that all the way from like 19-year-old Libria. So this is a great time to just tap into who you are today, who you want to be tomorrow, who you were years ago, and think about what are the things that you've wanted to accomplish. So give yourself the time and the grace to do that, and don't put pressure on yourself either. Right? So give yourself the time and the grace. So because you're going to start big picture brainstorming, and then you're going to kind of do the layout, and then you're going to edit it, and then you're going to plan. The planning part, the editing and the planning part, that's when you start putting a little pressure on yourself. Like, I ain't gonna be able to do that. All right. Someone said, yes, I am very much an ideas person. So my friend Noelle is here. She's a very, very close friend of mine, super close friend of mine. And she knows that someone needs to save me from myself when it comes to coming up with ideas and wanting to add things to my plate. We were actually just talking about this yesterday, literally just talking about this last night. Are your templates available on Mira and Canvas? So Canva That's not a template. I literally just took a blank slate and started adding stuff to it. So the cool thing about Canva, and maybe we can do, I can show you guys really quickly how to do this if you've never used Canva before. But for Miro, what I can do is, I think I can turn this into a template, like at least give you a blank slate with the colored, what is the word I'm looking for? With the colored tabs on it, with the colored boxes on it, and then copy the calendar to yours as well, and then send that link out. I can probably do that. I can do that for y'all, R&J, but it will have to be in the description box because I haven't done it already, so I'll have to go create it for you. So yeah, I'll do that, and then I'll put like a little example in there. Cool. All right, let me show you guys how to use Canva real fast. Let's make a little vision board. Let's make a vision board, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to add a page. So Canva is, again, free. So what you want to do is, I think I used here, let's do this. Canva. Yes. Zal, the only reason why I didn't say sticky notes is because they actually have sticky notes that are separate from what I was using. So these are just boxes, but they actually have sticky notes too that like look like sticky notes. So, and I use these as well. I think I mentioned in my video that I used purple sticky notes for things I was going to delegate. And then green sticky notes for things that were going to cost money and stuff like that. Yep. So they actually have sticky notes. That's the only reason why I didn't use that word. I was trying to come up with another word. So Canva, if you go to Canvas and sign up, you won't see my fitness check-in, but you can create a design. And what you can do is say, oh, I want to create a presentation, or this might be a flyer size, maybe. You can also do a custom size, which is what I did because I like this to be kind of big. And I can share the dimensions with you guys. It's 14? It's 14 by 11. So I created this 14 by 11. You can click on custom size and change it to inches and do the 14 by 11. And I actually, again, print this out and put it up. So 14 by 11 is how big mine is. You can make it however big you want. And then I just did a blank slate and started putting stuff. Here's the cool thing about Canva. So you can go to elements and say, give me some 2023 artwork. Can you guys see this really well? Or do I need to zoom in? Let me zoom in. So I just went to elements and typed in 2023 so I can see some 2023 graphics to find one to use. I'm going to use that one, resize it. The cool thing about Canva is it makes doing graphics super easy. Like you don't have to be a graphic designer. And then just like you cut out, am I talking loud? I feel like I'm talking really loud. Just like when you cut out magazine photos, you can just search for them in here, right? So if you're thinking, I want to lose weight, let's look at someone standing on a scale. Right? And so I can just put this picture in here. They do have a pro version. I have the pro version. So some pictures are free. If you see this, it's going to cost you. So let's do a free photo. So you can put that there. So it's literally same concept. You just have to do some searches. And then what I do is put the text next to it. Like go to text, grab, this is small, medium, large, grab some text and say, work out 3 days a week. I put that there, right? Let me also put Q1. Oops, first quarter. I want Grammarly to leave me alone. Grammarly is aggressive, y'all. I like Grammarly, but it is aggressive. Like, chill out. You don't have to correct everything I say. So are you guys seeing this? Do you see how I'm doing this? So it's pretty easy. I mean, the same way that you would be looking through magazine articles for stuff, when you think about, what are my goals? So like here, I just looked for a clip art of even if you just typed in fitness, some stuff would come up. They say that you'll have graphics, they have photos, they got videos. I don't know why you would need that though. And stuff like that. So you just look for the graphics, drag and drop. So graphics are going to be here, text are going to be here. You can even upload your own photos as well if you want to. I just uploaded some photos here of me doing my fitness check-in to send to my trainer. So yeah, that's Canva. Canva's it's really easy to learn too. So if you want to learn how to use Canva, they have videos, and then YouTube has a lot of videos as well. So I love Canva. It's super fun to use. How did you balance and achieve all your goals when you were when your daughter was younger? I'd first say that I didn't achieve all my goals. I'll be honest with you guys. I rarely achieve all my goals. I will achieve some of my goals. I will abandon some of my goals, and some of them I'll get close. And that's why I said earlier, don't be afraid to fail, because in my mind, I always replace the word fail with learn. Failure is just data. It's just information that, maybe this wasn't the route, or maybe I should tweak something. And that's the other thing, like the things that you're signing up for and the things that you're setting up on your goals, they're not set in stone. Like you don't have to do all of these things, right? You can change your mind. And I'm not saying that from a standpoint of saying, oh, you can give up at any time. What I'm saying is you always have the option to reassess from a standpoint of A, is this working? B, should I do this differently? Or C, does this still fit within my values, right? Is this something that I'm still truly interested in accomplishing? Or is this still truly a priority for me, right? And so you can always tweak that. So the first thing I'd say is I rarely achieve all my goals. I achieve quite a few of them, and I get really close on some of them. I abandon a few of them as well. And so, and it's okay to do that. So I'd say that. And then when my daughter was younger is a circumstance. And so when we talked about editing your goals and planning your things out, I think the approach has to be based on your circumstances, right? So, the circumstances could be that you have a young child. The circumstances could be that you have a very demanding job. The circumstances could be that you have an illness or you have an older parent to take care of, right? And so when we talked about goals being smart, realistic, based on your circumstances, that R is for realistic. And so when you think about what are the circumstances of my lifestyle, and based on that, do these goals truly make sense for me, or how can I achieve them based on the circumstances? So all that to say, Melissa, a lot of my goals, I took into account what my circumstances were. I hope that made sense. And I don't know if you wanted something more specific, but really it was like, I carved out time to do things for myself, just like I carved out time to do things for my daughter. I am just as important as she is. I am just as important in my life as my daughter is. She's not more important than me, and I'm not more important than her. And so I carved out time for her, and I carved out time for me is probably the more practical, or the more practical answer. But I know it's tough as a parent, right? My daughter was in soccer. She had a lot of trouble in school, so I had to spend a lot of time helping her with homework and walking her through things. And as she got older, she got more challenging to deal with. But the time that I pour into her, I owe myself that too. I deserve me. You deserve you, right? The you that you give to everybody else, you deserve that too. And there's nobody in your life that's more important than you are, right? You're just as important as everybody that you love. So I think it's just about accepting that and and understanding that. And then your goals become just as important as the things that you have to do for the people that you love. right? And so you allocate the time to do those things just like you do with your kids, right? And sometimes that meant that I was at soccer matches, like I'll be at the first half of the game and in my car working on something the second half of the game. That also meant I missed some soccer matches. But when I think about over the course of her life, how many soccer matches she played, I could miss a few. You'll be all right. She played soccer for 13 years. And she played on two teams. She played on two teams. And on one of the teams, they had her on I don't know how to explain it, but she played for our high school team and she played for a league. So she played league soccer. And in one of the leagues, she played on two teams in that league. Okay. So the number of soccer games that girl played, I can miss some games. So like the parents who feel guilty about not being at all the games, you'll be fine. Nobody when your kids become adults, they're not going to be like, you missed 3 of my games. I don't love you. Like our kids love us because of the things that we give them, the support, the encouragement, the care and all of those things. It's not like they sit down checking your attendance at every one of the games. You know what I'm saying? So all that to say, not to go off on a tangent, but I think that a lot of parents have trouble. And I don't really like the word balance that much. As much of a Libra as I am, I don't like the word balance. In my mind, balance happens over time, like on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis. Things are I can't give everything 100%. There are times when I realize that my daughter needs more of my time than everything else. There are times when I realize I need more of my time. There are times when I realize like my job needs more of my time. And so I think it's not necessarily about balance, but about, tweaking. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but rebalancing, shifting, adjusting based on where the needs are and being attuned to that. That's just my approach. Again, nothing I say is gospel. But I feel like a lot of parents feel so guilty about giving time to themselves. And it's like taking care of you, taking care of you, yourself, your health, and who you are as a person is what makes you a great parent. And don't forget that we are modeling behaviors for our children. Don't we want them to take time for themselves? Don't we want them to reach their goals? So, let's make that a priority, partly because it's beneficial for our kids, but also partly because that's the behavior we want to model for them. That's the adult. The adult that I want my daughter to be is the adult that realizes that her life is her one and only life. It is hers. It's nobody else's. It is her one and only life. And I don't want her to completely devote it to anybody. I want to share it with people. You know what I'm saying? Fail Fast, Fail Often by Ryan is a good read. I've been meaning to read that, but I agree with that. It's been on my list to help with the fear of failure and keep moving forward after each failure. Another book, thank you for that, Barbara. Another book that I really love this book, is The Obstacle is the Way by Ryan Holiday. That's a really good book too. I'm going to share these in the notes. The Obstacle is the Way. Y'all, I was going through one of the toughest failures of my entire life, and that book helped me a lot. All right, I don't see any more questions. This has been really fun. I've really enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys got some stuff out of it. I really gotta, balancing doesn't mean 50-50. That's true. It won't always allocate that way. And quite often, quite frankly, I believe that it will rarely allocate that way. You know what I'm saying? I think it will rarely allocate that way. Everything's not going to get, their evenly allocated percentage. I can't evenly allocate myself, my time, my attention to every single thing. I like it's finding your flow, it's shifting, it's adjusting, all of that. Yeah, so many books to get to. The good news is The Obstacle is the Way is a really short book. It's a quick read. It's a pretty short book. It's not like a whole bunch of pages. All right, I'm gonna get out of here so I can do this homework y'all just gave me. I'm gonna do this homework y'all just gave me. So I will create a quick template in Miro and try to share that with you so I can put it in the description box. And I will include a link to Canva as well, since I mentioned that, and then a few project management tools like Asana and Trello and stuff like that. That's easy. Um, and then also link to some of these books that you guys mentioned, because these are some really good books. No problem. Thank you guys. This is the first time I've ever done this, but this is fun, and I wish I could see your faces and hear your voices. So I really need to figure out. I will add it to my goals list to host a retreat this year, and I'll see where it falls. Like, listen, I have to give myself my advice that I gave you guys. Don't limit yourself in the brainstorming phase. Put it up there, put it on the calendar, see if it's feasible, and then decide to edit. So I will do that. I will go through the process with that as well, because I would love to do this in person with you guys. No problem. Thank you. Oh, what is a lifestyle goal? So a lifestyle goal is something that enhances your life in your interests and your hobbies. And some examples are things like, I really want to learn to shoot pool. Noelle said, I have ideas for when. Okay, girl, well, let's talk about it. Let's do this. A lifestyle goal is like, I want to learn to shoot pool. Actually, you know what? I have a friend who wanted to learn to swim one year. She wanted to learn how to swim. Someone in the comments wants to move abroad. One of my good friends, her goal is to finish 50 books this year. Those are lifestyle goals. So things like that, if that makes sense. So learning something new, picking up a hobby, moving, travel is a lifestyle goal as well. I want to travel more, stuff like that. I want to buy a new car. That's a lifestyle goal. So yeah. All right, y'all. Have a good Sunday. Today's Sunday. Have a great Sunday, and Happy New Year. Thanks for hanging out with me.